that stuff's a little bit different. We're not at the kitchen in Boise or in the Tri-Cities. We are actually out at Farm 100 out in North Pasco. And so we're really excited to have this special episode of Tater Talk, the podcast. So I'm Rachel.
I'm Hailey.
Yeah. And yeah, you guys I don't think you're ready for this conversation.
No, not at all. We're here today to talk to a very special partner grower named Ted Tschirky, who has graciously taken time out of his day to walk us around Field 100 and tell us everything that he knows with his long tenure at Lamb Weston. So we are so excited and we can't wait for you to watch this episode.
Yeah,
So.
hope you enjoy.
We are here today at Field 100 with one of our partner growers, Ted Tschirky, and we are just so excited to talk with him today about all things planting and farming at Lamb Weston. So, yeah. Ted, thank you so much for spending time with us today. If you could tell us right off the bat, how did you get started growing potatoes in this area of the world?
Well, it started actually when we had a tour when I was in high school with my FFA advisor in 1980. Mm-hmm. And we took us down to the Connell plant and took a tour. And then then the FFA had projects for raising crops and stuff. So I decided to try to get a contract with Lamb Weston and raise potatoes, because I thought that, because my dad had raised potatoes in the past but had quit. So I ended up getting after pestering him for a while, they actually caved in and gave me a 5-acre FFA project.
Nice.
And ever since then, it just grew from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've been in it for a while. I think let's walk around just and see this field a little bit. We were able to talk with your son a little bit too, and just hear about so much that's happening. Can you talk about as well just being a partner grower with Lamb Weston and the benefits of that?
Well, the partner grower program that I'm involved with Lamb Weston has been a really beneficial program for us to be able to plan for the future on our farm to secure land, and then also for our inputs. We can plan ahead and buy seed or fertilizer when the timing is right. Mm-hmm. And it's great to have a partner that's a strong partner that's committed to you and willing to work with you in the future and the past through good times and bad. Mm-hmm. So it's been a blessing to know where all your potatoes are going to go to, because that's part of the program, that they let you know early on of what acreage that you can plan for. So it makes it nice to be able to plan for that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been awesome to see, like you're saying, you started at 5 acres. Can you also maybe just talk about I don't know if it's the benefit or just the impact to be able to keep it within the family as well? Your son's involved. I think your younger son may be involved as well, of just being able to have that continue.
Yeah, it's makes it a beneficial program, especially the joint venture program, that they can mentor them and teach them what you've done in the past, and mm-hmm. also to educate them on the importance of good contacts with Lamb Weston, especially for this partnership program. Mm-hmm. And also it gives Lamb Weston a chance to get another generation of mm-hmm. growing potatoes for them that they can trust. And that's another thing that's Lamb Weston has a lot of faith in me and our farm and what we are able to accomplish over the years. Mm-hmm. And it's been a great relationship.
Yeah. Awesome. What does that mean for you personally, to know that you're able to have somebody you can depend on, that you can pass this down to your sons and keep this in the family?
Well, it's a sense of pride, and hopefully that the farm will continue on in the future, and they can grab the ball basically and run with it and make it hopefully bigger and more prosperous in the future.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But sometimes bigger isn't always better, as long as you can have a great family life and be able to have time to do things to benefit the family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You've set a really great runway for them. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's go see some other parts of the field.
So Ted, we're in the middle of your field now. Can you tell us a little bit about crop rotation and how that works here?
Well, for potatoes especially, and most crops actually, crop rotation is very important. The longer you can stay out of the field from planting potatoes from year to year, the better that you'll be with as far as quality and tonnage usually. And it takes a little bit of pressure off because you have less disease and pest problems also. But crop rotation is very important.
Yeah.
So a lot of my ground that I actually own, I'll rent to other growers like grass seed growers or alfalfa seed growers or alfalfa, and then I'll take their ground and then I'll get mine back, in 3 or 4 years.
Nice.
So it's beneficial. The longer you can stay out, the better.
Yeah. Is that the main rotation of crop you do with alfalfa, or do you do other maybe vegetables or anything like that?
Yeah, it's mostly alfalfa and then grass seed.
Okay.
And occasionally, sometimes I'll follow onions depending on what's been planted in the year before.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about how growing potatoes are different than growing other crop?
Well, growing potatoes are pretty intense sometimes, but it's also very rewarding from planting the crop to watching them come up out of the ground and then to wait for them to have row closure. And then after that, they're actually starting to set potatoes now, but throughout the summer, you can come out and dig a plant to see how they're developing and how many potatoes are under each plant to give you some idea what your crop's looking like. And it's depending on the year, you can just take those home and actually eat them at home, like baby or fresh potatoes, and then also share them with your family or friends. So it's actually pretty nice. And
I'm sure you're a really popular guy that time of year.
Yeah.
Straight up farm to table, am I right?
Yep. Yep, for sure. And then also, at the end of the season, at harvest time, it's always interesting to see if you've done it right by fertilizing and watering the crop the whole season, and how you did. It's your scorecard at the end of the day, how good your yield is and in quality. So it makes it really exciting when you have a great yield and great quality.
Yeah.
Very rewarding for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, especially with the amount that's in this field or what it could produce. Can you tell us a little bit about the planting season? I know we talk a little bit about pulling in July or harvesting in July, but maybe could you give a glimpse into what that might look like for you?
Yeah, we typically start around the 10th of March planting, and we try not to get too excited about it and just plant as needed. And so we'll usually end up finishing around April 15th or so.
Okay.
We have a yellow variety that we plant last, and we'll probably dig first, so they'll have so it grows pretty fast anyway.
Right. Very cool.
Yep.
And then kind of a little off this cuff here, or offside, can you talk a little bit about strategies you use when it comes to climate? We know we talk about this a lot. You get really hot days here, some chillier nights. What are some things that you do to work within those conditions?
Well, for the climate here is actually, we're actually in a very unique area where we don't really have that much rain, from 8 to 10 inches of rainfall a year, and then we can control how much water we put on through a canal system that diverts water out of the Columbia River up by Banks Lake, up in the north. So we monitor the water usage twice a week. A guy will come out and see what the moisture levels in the ground, and he'll email that to my son or myself, and then we'll make adjustments of how much water to put on for that week, like anywhere from 4 days to 5 days a week during the summertime.
Right.
As far as climate change, we have the last couple of years, we haven't really had as hot as summers as that we're used to. So it's been a pretty nice growing season the last 2 years anyway. We used to get like 2 to 3 weeks of over 100-degree
Right.
temperatures, and that makes it hard to keep everything growing, because a potato will shut down after like 80 to 90 degrees and quit growing, and it'll try to respire or try to keep itself cool and use its energy to keep itself alive instead of putting the nutrients into the tubers to make size.
Right.
So then it'll also quit using water. It's sort of you would think it would be backwards when they're as hot as it is.
Yeah.
You need more water, but you can get to a point where you can drown them, if you're not watching what you're doing.
Yeah.
When it gets really over 100.
Yeah.
So it makes it pretty difficult sometimes, but not with the current technology. Makes it a lot easier than a shovel that we used to use in the past to see what the water moisture level is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
So it's more to it than just planting the potatoes anymore, with all the technology that's out there
Yeah.
as far as water monitoring, and then we also do soil fertilizer test every week to see what's nitrogen levels in the ground, because we don't want to put any more cost into this crop than we need, and also we don't want to leach that nitrogen into the groundwater. We want to keep it where we can use it,
Right.
and we try to mitigate how much money we invest in this crop, because farming is still nice and all good and everything, but it's still a business,
Yeah.
Yep.
and you still got to make a profit to continue on,
Right.
to buy that latest tractor or digger or whatever. So it's
It's more
can be
complicated.
challenging
Yeah.
than
More
people
to it.
think.
Yeah. Well, on that point too, I know obviously climate is a challenge that we know about. Like you said, maybe it hasn't been luckily in the past 2 years, but we've seen that before that. Can you talk about some other challenges that you face as a grower?
Well, for me at my age, I guess right now, is my biggest challenges is the transitioning the farming operation to my kids or my sons, so they're successful in the future, and that's what that partner grower program is vital to, having a stable place for them to market their
Yeah.
crops. And then the other thing is, sometimes the state of Washington can be a little bit tricky on stuff that they implement, like overtime rules that we have to deal with. Is challenging to keep all your employees happy and also financially stable, but it's
Right.
a cost that you can't ignore, especially with overtime now.
Right.
And they've changed things so much that I had one guy that's worked for me over 30 years, and I put him on a salary years ago so he'd be stable throughout the year. And now with the overtime rules, they changed the thresholds and everything, so it's sort of we're in a learning curve right now to
Yeah.
figure out how to
Yeah.
keep them viable.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like I know how to manage the potatoes, but now you're having to do the people management side of
Yeah.
it all, which throws a loop into it.
Well,
I'm sure.
to control your costs, like
Mhm.
like I said before, it's still a business
Yeah.
out here.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. You look at a potato or you look at a French fry and you think this is simple. How could it be so complicated? But there are so many things that go into it.
Yeah.
And even just hearing you talk, probably all the ins and outs of everything. So, which is a lot.
And
but
now you
we
have to
know.
pass on that knowledge, all like you said, to your sons and everyone else too, to get ready for that succession planning.
Yeah, you don't realize how much goes into it till you try to teach somebody else.
Yeah.
Like from pricing of fertilizer to chemical and all kinds of stuff, from seed and all kinds of stuff that came naturally, but it's also been in it for over 45 years. So you just take some of that stuff for granted, and then till you try to show them,
Yeah. That's your generational knowledge that we
Yeah.
at Lamb Weston are so thankful for
Yeah.
all the time, because we probably couldn't do any of this without you physically, but also that knowledge that you have and are willing to pass down. So thank you.
Awesome. So we were heading back, but we hear the water starting. Can you talk to? I'm a city girl, so I'm going to play really dumb here. Can you talk about a little bit about the irrigation and what's happening here?
Yeah. So my son is starting the pump over there and then you can see the water is filling up the machine. And when it actually gets full, he can start it with his phone, and the machine will start walking. But we were talking about earlier about transitioning the farm to my son, and my son, was told me that he was turning this on today, and he said you have to prime it. It takes quite a while to prime the pump.
Oh.
And I said, well, you're not necessarily, because if you throw a board over the overflow, it fills the water up in the box, and then you don't have to prime it at all.
You're like, here's my nuggets that I just don't even know.
We're talking about how to transition the farming operation. So they're just little
Tips and
caveats that you don't remember to tell them.
Oh.
Yeah,
There's an easy way and the hard way.
Yeah. You're like, it'll take you enough time. It take you 45 years to figure it out on your own, but let me give you a little bit of a shortcut here.
But
A little bit of a leg up.
the bad thing though is you have to make sure you pull the board out before you take off.
The details that you may forget if you're telling it.
I'm looking, okay, I do have a Hailey question for you. So I'm seeing, well, maybe some of them right there have like different, the way they're rotating, and then those ones look different. I don't know if it's just easier. I mean, those are turning off maybe now perhaps, but.
So this particular machine is a valley corner machine. So it tucks in the edges, and then it'll go out in the corners. And when it goes out in the corner, those other water sprinklers will come on. If you noticed on top of the machine, there's valves. So there's a program in the system that when it gets to a certain point, those other sprinklers will turn on.
Okay.
Because if you had all of those on right now, you'd have a lake here on that edge. So that's why a lot of them are off right now, because that thing is tucked in almost behind the last tower. But as it works its way out, they'll come on.
Oh my gosh.
Is it just me, or are the tires starting to move?
Yeah, he started it with his phone.
Wow, that's all from his phone.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. I was like, yeah, I see Tyler coming back here. So,
So he can, and then this technology will text him at night or whenever it shuts off too.
Wow.
So you can come out and either fix it or make sure it's not a major problem, you know.
So you said you don't have to wake up at midnight if there's an issue. You make him do it. Is that okay? That's
the
what I'm hearing.
benefits of passing it down.
Yeah, but so he's got. We were talking about some of the caveats of transitioning, but he's got all the stuff on his phone, and I don't have any of it on mine. So that's what technology.
I was going to say, that's the technology passed down too.
Yes.
For your younger generation.
Definitely.
I'll say pros and cons, I'm sure. So this is amazing. I mean, what are we talking miles per hour? I know we saw the tires move a little bit, but like how quickly is this moving across the field at any given time?
Well, this is I think it's a 120-acre circle, and I think it can go around in 24 hours if you want it to.
Okay.
But typically you won't run them that fast. But since we just got through with Dammer Dyking, putting these pits in here, we run them faster, so we don't want to wash these out. So they're like little reservoirs.
Interesting.
That's what the pits are for.
Yeah.
Okay.
That keep the water where you want it. Yeah.
Wow. It's incredible.
So we typically will run it faster, but I'm not sure what speed he's got it on. And you can change it by percent, you know, and then it'll calculate
Calibrate
how fast it is.
Wow.
And we check it too to see how the revolutions. Because later on in the season, we'll put on fungicides on the field like every 14 days through the water. And that's just to protect it from like late blight, like Irish potato famine. That disease is still present across the world still.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody would have ever known. I didn't know that.
So that's what caused the Irish potato famine. It was late blight.
Oh, interesting.
So we still have that disease now.
To watch out for.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's better to be preventative than
reactive if it
Yeah,
happens.
because if you get it, then you're having to throw more fungicides to combat it, to get rid of it.
Man,
Yeah.
amazing. So Ted, we know that you're a part of, or have been a part of, the National Potato Council. Is that right? We're just curious, how'd you get started in all that? How'd they rope you in?
Well, that actually it started probably about 20 to 25 years ago, being on the Washington State Potato Commission first, and then as a Washington State Commission has so many seats at the NPC table, so then you ended up being a board member first there, and then was interested in it, so we stayed involved with the political process back there in Washington D.C. And then they ended up electing me to the executive board through past presidents put you on that, and then it's just evolved after that. So I mean, it's been on there about 6 years, I believe, now, and they elected me the president here this past February in Washington D.C.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
What all does that entail? What does your role of president look like?
Well, ever since taking over the leadership, it's pretty much business as usual. We have a director back there, Cam Quarles, that keeps us abreast of all the different issues. And the only difference from being president and just on the exec is I have a few more phone calls.
A couple more meetings
Yeah.
and
We'll actually have another Zoom call here coming up on Monday, which can be challenging to make sure you have the right link to the depending on which platform he uses.
Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say too. That's got to feel so different. We were talking to Tyler, your son, about the different types of work. We're obviously corporate based, sit in an office. This is very different. How is that having to go back to a little bit more corporate Zoom calls? Do you prefer the farm?
Yeah, well, it's all good. Luckily, we don't have to spend that much time, but it's also important because they actually work with EPA to keep pesticide products that we can make our life easier out here, like taking care of pest problems like late blight and other stuff. And then also they do a lot on potato research for building a better potato and make sure that we have our funding sources for that, not only in Washington State but throughout the whole country.
Yeah.
So like last year they had a EPA tour in Pennsylvania, and then the year before that it was in Washington. And this year, depending on what happens with Doge and their cutbacks, it was supposed to be in the New York area, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But then there's other problems or like trade policies that we try to get involved in to open up free markets for, like Mexico was one of our success stories, and then also we're trying to get into Japan with fresh access too right now for potatoes. So it's always something coming down the pipe.
Yeah. So
And then-
keeps it interesting.
Yeah, and the latest win that we had is the food pyramid. They tried to change potatoes from a vegetable to a grain.
Oh yeah.
So we got involved in that through our podcasts and other media outlets, and just put it in front of the whole public and for the legislatures. Most of our job is just educating the legislatures of how it affects us.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, they wouldn't really know. There's a few that are still farm-based legislatures, but not that many.
So you're involved with a lot of public policy around, everything potatoes, of course.
Yeah,
So.
try to steer the ship somewhat, to make it palatable
Right.
for all farmers across the whole United States, not just out here.
Yeah.
So it makes it a little bit challenging.
It's a big job for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, all I can think is we're just so fortunate for someone in your position too to have, the knowledge and be a partner with us with Lamb Weston. So we lucked out, that when you're 16, you just couldn't say no to this, that you got thrown in, because who knew that you would then be, the president of the National Potato Council.
Yeah, but it's quite ride over the years.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, I've said this before, we're very fortunate. I said this, and I do mean it. You're not only Lamb Weston royalty, but now you're potato royalty nationally.
Yes.
So.
And apparently internationally. You training in Japan, Mexico, all the above.
Absolutely.
Oh, well, we can't say thank you enough. Thank you for your partnership. Thank you for all that you do,
Yes.
not only for Lamb, but with the National Potato Council as well. And thank you for talking with us today. So we hope everyone out there enjoyed it. And just stay tuned for more, as I'm sure we'll, as much as you like it or not, we might be coming back because this was just amazing.
Yes. We can't say no.
Yeah, and then if they have any questions as far as the National Potato Council, they can get on the internet and Google National Potato Council and see what all the stuff that we're doing. And when the next meeting will actually be in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Oh, wow.
For our summer meeting at the end of June.
Very cool.
So so there's all kinds of information out there.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Well,
much.
until next time.
Yep, thanks.
Okay, so we are back. We have Tyler here. We mentioned him enough. We pulled him in while he was out working on the field. So we're just going to ask Tyler a couple questions.
Yes. So we're curious, Tyler, how'd you get started in all this with your dad?
Well, obviously I grew up with my dad and then went off to college. And after college, I got a desk job for about 3 years and got the itch to come back. And Ted thankfully was wanting me to come back. Yeah, I came back about 10 years ago.
Okay.
And then he's been training me ever since.
Wow.
How is that? How is it? You know, your dad talked to us a lot about you taking it over in that succession planning. How is that for you to be able to continue it in the family and keep going?
It feels really good to be able to do that, to be in the position to do that. And everybody's journey is different in succession planning. So we're just trying to make it work for us.
Yeah. Well, it looks amazing, and your dad's amazing. Thank you for taking this on with our Partner Grow program. We do have one final question for you. We asked your dad and he told us to ask you, do you have a farm dog, and what's their name?
Yes, we do have, sorry, the end gun, but we do have, two dogs. They're not farm dogs, but we have a little toy Aussie at home. That's our princess.
Yep.
And then we have a mutt that we rescued from the shelter. Her name is Aspen.
Nice.
Love that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's perfect.
Thank you so much. Thanks for talking with us, and thank you for the future of all that you're going to do for us as well.
Of course. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, that was all with our conversation with Ted Tschirky. I am blown away. I'm like, we could stay out here for hours and days. This was amazing. Not only, I mean, we lucked out. It's a perfect day outside.
It's gorgeous.
But we got out of the office. Can't complain about that either. But also, it's just the conversation and the knowledge that Ted has is insane.
I mean, we're talking 45 years, and this is, if y'all remember from an earlier episode with Jake Hinkey, when we talked about the succession planning, this is it. This is proof in the pudding of what it means to be a partner grower at Lamb Weston and be able to pass on not only this knowledge, but these capabilities that we have in our partner grower program. So just, I mean, he's the sweetest person and so knowledgeable, and we're just so fortunate that he took some time to hang out with us today. Yeah. It's awesome.
I think it's so cool too. I know we've talked a lot about partner growers and how the benefit of that too, and to be a partner grower is that like we can help share our knowledge with them. But as he was talking about National Potato Council, it's like, oh my gosh, he's involved with so much foundational elements of the business that we wouldn't even know about. And so I think I know we've said it time and time again, like we are just so lucky to have him as a partner. And so it's just really cool to see, and cool to see that it's just going to continue with Tyler and all of that.
Yeah, and helping us propel our business forward as Lamb Weston, and of course as potato lovers all across the world. So we're, again, so thankful. And of course, thank you all for listening, watching, however you get this podcast. And as always, we will see you next time on Tater Talk. Bye. Thank you.